Welcome. We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and we strive long or continually to bring you the real truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth in regards to the biblical scriptures. We bring the scriptures from the original ancient very old Tab Asheret or Aramaic, hand copied by scribes and monks in Ur, a desert now modern Turkey, around 800 BCE. These Old Testament manuscripts were obviously preserved by the Apostolic Church of the East, the original Apostolic Orthodox Church of the East, founded by Thomas, etc., as well as the Galilean Aramaic New Testament manuscripts. So, a native-born Aramaic-speaking translator, filmmaker, Mesopotamian type historian, Victor N. Alexander from Bet Narain or Mesopotamia, Syria, translated these into the nearest English equivalent. So he had about 20 or so years experience doing this with the Old Testament manuscripts and also the New Testament Galilean Aramaic into the nearest English equivalent. So we were listening to a few years old video, a debate between Apostle, a Hebrew Israelite, and Black Jesus Ministry. You don't know if he's a Christian or he's an Israelite, but he's in favour of the black people being the Israelites, or this sort of stuff. And he's made some gross errors, so we're going to listen to this and then make statements on those errors, expose those errors. This is from Sarnetta TV, formerly House of Consciousness.
Brothers and sisters, it is very apparent in my previous discussions and just recent discussions with Brother Apostle and Brother Sarnetta being a witness to the conversation, that my brother Apostle, and as he just stated here on his show, that Jesus is a white man, that Jesus is a white boy. Haven't you not seen the pictures of Caesar Borgia? Now, this man who is a preacher and an apostle and a teacher of the gospel sat up here and just told the whole world that Jesus is a white man, that Jesus is a white boy, and at the same time acknowledged that that white boy, that white man image of Jesus is false by saying that it's a picture of Caesar Borgia. Shame on you, Apostle. My God, man, what in the world is going on with you, brother? And, and brothers and sisters, we have already proven on the previous show I was here on Sarnetta, Revelations 1 and 14, Daniel 7 and 9, Revelations 1 and 14, Daniel 7 and 9. These are scriptures that apostle, a pastor, is supposed to be familiar with. That Jesus' hair was the texture of lamb's wool, and then his feet was the color of fine brass, as if it burned in a furnace. How in the hell, Brother Apostle, does that sound like a white boy, a white man, sir? And you just acknowledged that that image, which was a false image, was an image of Caesar Borgia, sir. See, this is the confunctory, I'm making up a word, that has been going on in the black community, where we've had elders and parents and grandparents teaching and passing on garbage and lies of white supremacy that the slave master taught his slaves. And when we read the Bible, we have been so indoctrinated and so prideful of our light skin and our house Negro, light skin and good hair, wanting to identify with somebody else other than being African, brothers and sisters. This is a present dilemma and a sickness in our soul and in our DNA as black people, and to our Hebrew Israelites, and to the Nation of Islam, and to the Moors, and everybody, and all the average Negroes here in America and all over the Americas, who strive with all your heart, mind, and soul, stewing in the white man's poison of self-hatred, denying and proclaiming any kind and every kind of other identity other than being African, because the slave master was successful in training you to hate yourself and to hate that you are, as the black man and black woman, the ultimate image and the ultimate likeness of God. Not you brown-skinned brothers and sisters, not you light-skinned brothers and sisters, not you so-called fake good hair brothers and sisters. Jet black, God jet black, and God kinky hair, brothers and sisters. Now,
okay, so he's made his statements which we believe are in error. Okay, he said that Jesus was not white, etc. Okay, so we're going to look at the original, ancient, very old Galilean Aramaic, translated into the nearest English equivalent by a native-born Aramaic-speaking translator, filmmaker, etc., from Mesopotamia, Syria, who's translated them into the nearest English equivalent. Okay, so we're going to have a look at Revelation 1, and it says here that John, through his vision, he fell back to see the voice of whom that spoke with him. Right? There's a footnote indication there. He fell back to see the voice of whom that spoke with him. And as he fell back, he saw 7 menorahs of gold, or candlesticks. He whose hair and head glow white, like white wool, like snow, and his eyes like flames of fire. So you need to go and define these words, right? Pretty much the same as in the Aramaic and the English. There's no footnote indication here to give otherwise. To say otherwise, that means similar to or resembling. It doesn't mean he had white woolly hair. Okay, whereas this black Jesus says he had the texture of wool, kinky hair. Okay, there's a difference between wool. If you ever work with sheep, shearing sheep, okay, or farming sheep, you notice that their wool is white. Okay, it's a little bit dirty because they're out in the wild, right, out in the pasture, whatever. But basically, it's white. And it's quite big curls. Okay, it's not small, kinky, poodle dog like hair. Okay, you look at an African person, especially those African bushmen, etc. They got very, very tight hair. Okay, and it's good for growing dreadlocks and all that sort of stuff, right? It's very, very different from this particular type of hair. Okay, and it resembles snow. It's like snow, and his eyes like flames of fire. Doesn't necessarily mean they actually were throwing out flames, and if you looked at them, you'd get burnt, right? And his feet, his 2 feet, that resemble Lebanese copper. Ever seen Lebanese copper? Go look at the ancient antiques, right, in the museums, etc. Oil jugs, barrels, whatever, right? Whatever was made out of this copper. Lebanese copper, it's not black. Okay? That is forged in the furnace. That means it's like heated up, right? It's treated in a fire. Okay? So it wouldn't come out black. It might come out black, but they polish it, clean it up, and it has that sort of greeny olive sort of colour, right? Or oil colour. That is forged in the furnace, and his voice like the sound of great waters. Okay. And he has in his right hand 7 stars, and from his mouth emerges a sharpened sword with 2 edges. That's the sword of truth. When he speaks the truth, and it cuts to the very marrow. People can't handle that truth. And his face glows like the sun in full force. And as John saw him, he fell at his feet like dead, like he just suddenly died, and he laid his right hand on me. This is the Son of God, right? Laid his hand on him and said, "Do not fear, don't be afraid. I am the beginning and the end." That is Yeshua Mashiach, or Jesus the Messiah, Jesus the Christ, the Son of God. Okay, and he goes on to say, talk about himself, right? And his history and his authority, etc., and what's going to happen in a future time. Okay, see, here he is. I am the Alap and the Tau. I'm the beginning and the end. says Dama Ya Allah. This means Master, God, God. Okay? So the Christ is God. That's why you have the triune. They're three in one, three as one. Okay? The triune. That verifies the triune. You have in your modern Americanized English versions the Alpha and Omega. That's from the Greek. It's just actually incorrect because originally it was written down in this ancient Tav Eshet, Galilean Aramaic, this whole New Testament. Okay, so he's wrong there. He's not black because his feet might have brown or be dark, a dark hue, because he walked around in the sun in the desert in his lifetime during his ministry, and he would have got brown feet, right, or dark feet. His hands and arms might have been exposed, so he would have had a brown tan, right, etc. Yeah, maybe his face also, but it doesn't necessarily make him black. Okay, what they're trying to do is they're trying to verify that, hey, like he said, none of yous are of God. You're not made in the image of God. Only the black people are. Not you brown-skinned brothers or you light-skinned brown brothers or whoever. No, none of yous. Just the black man. Yeah. This is where he's going wrong, because he's trying to boost that Pan-Africanism, that black people were the original Israelites, Jews, etc. So he's leading people down a very false path. Okay, so we'll go back to him. Okay, we'll go to the book of Daniel chapter 7 from the original Old Testament in the Tav Eshet, translated into English by native-born Aramaic speaking translator Victor Alexander from Mesopotamia, and look at 7:9, Daniel 7:9. And Daniel says here, after these I, Daniel, saw in a nightly vision the fourth creature that possessed great power, depth, and the capacity to eat, etc., etc. And while I was observing the horns, etc., etc., verse 9, I then saw when the thrones were consecrated, and where the one of ancient days sat, his clothes were like white snow, and the hair on his head was like pure wool. His throne was like flames of fire, and his wheels were like a raging fire. Meaning that probably what he stood on, transporting him around, had flames issuing out of it, like a sun disk, etc. As mentioned in the original ancient Exodus. This is what Moses saw God. He saw faces, so it's two or more, possibly three, inside this sun disk. Okay, Eastern way of expressing themselves could mean not necessarily inside it, but they may have been on it. Okay, but he saw these faces, two or more. We're saying three, which proves the original ancient Mesopotamian, Syrian triune concept. The Elohim, Elohim, which is very different from the Elohim, Elohim, very, very different, which means over the flames. You need to know what is that Mesopotamian winged disc icon, what is it symbolizing. Okay, then you fully understand, okay, that's the triune. Okay, the Trinity in the Christian circles is similar, not same. It's a little bit different there. They've got a different concept of that. Okay, so it's not saying there that Jesus was black. Okay, here's the footnotes down here for 7:9, Ancient of Days, etc. 7:9, reference to the Lord, or Jesus the Messiah. 7:13, literal Aramaic idiomatic construction, and reached until the ancient days. In other words, the oldest scriptures. 7:13 and I saw over the clouds of heaven, John saw over the clouds of heaven someone like the son of human beings coming. And he arrived as the ancient as of the ancient days, and they brought the offerings before him. And to him was given the authority, etc., etc. So here's 7:13. 1, 2, 17, 13, 2. In order to separate the Lord Jesus from the Godhead, the Western theologians needed to distort this scripture. In this passage, they refer to the Ancient One and allude to Jesus as being presented before him, before John. In other words, before God the Father. In this way, they could demote the Son and put themselves on the same level with Jesus after he appears in the New Testament. Whereas the original scriptures, the original ancient Tav Asher, clearly present one God and the Lord, the Messiah, being his manifestation, or that which was there but it wasn't yet revealed, until he became God in flesh, God incarnate. He became man and was amongst the people, right? His own people, and the disciples, etc. Or people, right? Throughout the scriptures, old and new. Okay, so nowhere there is it saying that Jesus was black. Okay, so this guy has his facts wrong. This black Jesus.
Let's deal with this self-hatred, and we're going to start with all the Israelites who want to be Shemitic Arabs, Because Brother Apostle said, and I asked him, "Are you African American, Apostle?" Apostle said, "What?" The same thing that most Israelites said. "No, I ain't no African. Okay. I said, "Okay, well, Brother Apostle, are you Black American? Are you black?" "I ain't black either. I ain't black." Brothers and sisters, this is quite apparent of the dilemma that I'm talking about. So my brother says that he is Israelite. He says that he is an Israelite. Y'all hear that? Now let's deal with the Israelite identity. Now, when we start with the Israelite identity in reference to Abraham, Abraham was from the city the city of of Chaldees. And you guys are looking at my screen, and here is of Chaldees in northeast Arabia. Northeast Arabia, over here, near the Tigris River. And this area here is Arabia, brothers and sisters. All of this is Arabia. And on the complete other side, on the other side of the Dead Sea right here, this is Israel. So now, my brother says that he is an Israelite. He is a descendant of Abraham. Okay? Now, brothers and sisters, was Abraham an African? No. He lived here in Arabia. And he came to the African continent and to the land of Israel, which was called originally the land of Canaan, brothers and sisters. How much time do I have, Sonetta? All right. This is Israel, brothers and sisters. Almost 2,000 miles away, Abraham and Terah traveled across the Arabian northern desert all the way over here. And they went to Haran first, which is up here in the north, and then they came down south to Israel, to the land of Canaan. God told Terah to leave and to leave his people. To leave who? The Shemite people who lived over here in northeast Arabia. Not African. Ain't no black people over here, brothers and sisters. This is Arab country. This is the beginning. This is right here is the Nile River. This here is the Nile River, and this is Egypt. And then here is Israel connected to Egypt. And the land and the native inhabitants of Israel are the Canaanites, who are the brothers and sisters of the Egyptians, the descendants of Ham. Brothers and sisters. Now, I'm going to go to the world map real quick because my time is running out. If I can pull it up. Oh, crap. I'm trying to get to it without touching that. Okay. So again, all right. So brothers and sisters, we can see right here that we are looking at, here's the United States, here's Brazil, and here is the west coast of Africa, and here is Egypt, and here is Saudi Arabia, And right here is approximately where Kuwait is where the ancient country and city of was, of Chaldees, where Abraham was from, traveling from here all the way to Israel, the continental plate of Africa. And I'm going to stop right there. If I have how much time I got now?
You heard the poem, right?
Okay, that's good. We're good. All right.
All right, family.
Okay, so he's made this statement that here, Saudi Arabia, this is a modern map. He's using a modern map. This is United Arab Emirates. Right here, right? Saudi Arabia. Here's Iraq or ancient Iraq, modern Iraq. Syria, Iran, Kuwait, right there, right? Okay, so that indeed is possibly in this Arab area, modern area today. Okay, so we're going to have a look at a proper map to verify this. Where is Ur of Chaldee or Chaldea? We have a look at that. Okay, here is Africa and Egypt here. Okay, the Nile River. This is Ur of the Chaldees or the Chaldeans during the time of Abraham around 2000 BC. Okay, this here is his Saudi Arabia that he's claiming that this is all part of. He is wrong. Okay, this is part of Syria, or then Assyria, the nation of Assyria. Okay, here is Haran, where Abraham, Terah, etc. went to before they went to that land of Israelites, which was occupied by the Canaanites, the Hittites, etc., with their pagan gods and practices, etc. So this is different from here. Okay, it's not the same. We can have a look at explanation of the Arabian Peninsula. The Arabian Peninsula, or Arabia, is a peninsula in West Asia. Sorry, it's in West Asia, situated northeast of Africa on the Arabian Plate. Okay, so let's have a look at this again. Where is Arabia? It's here. Here's Iraq, here's Syria, etc. Okay, and then there's, let's say, a border here. Even if it's just imaginary, it's not actually a border patrol, all of that sort of stuff, right? So once you go from here, you cross over to here, to get to here, right? Because they probably went, Abraham probably went to Haran, up here somewhere, right? Up here somewhere, further north, and then went that way. Okay, he didn't come down here and go that way. It's like going away from and around. Yeah, we could have just gone from here to there. Possibly. He went from there across here, wandered in the desert, and then went here. But no, the scriptures say he went in Syria, Ur of Chaldee. He went to Haran, okay, up north, and then he went to Israel. Okay, so there's a difference there. Two different areas. Don't forget, this is a modern map. So let's go have a look at another one. Okay, where's Arabia? Okay, we looked at that one. Okay, so here, this is Arabia. Okay. This is Syria or Assyria at that time. Here's the Nile, here's Egypt. Okay. So obviously he's got his facts wrong. Because also he was saying that Terah was told by God, spoken to by God, to pick up his people and move to this land of plenty, right? The Canaanite land, which later on became Israel. No, he spoke to Abraham. He said, gather up your family, etc., and travel there, right? But first, him and his people went to Haran. There was a mixture of the Hebrews, Eber's, what's his name, Apashkad, who had a son called Eber, and his descendants they mixed with these Chaldeans, right? Obviously Abraham was the chosen one, the patriarch or whatever, by God, selected by God. So they all listened to him. So they all moved here, and then they went to the land of Canaan, the Canaanites, and there they adopted. Later on, we're not too clear exactly when, but they adopted the god El, a pagan god. Have a look for it on YouTube. Online. And probably Wikipedia will pop up, and it'll show you a picture of that particular god. Okay, El, right? And they scripted it wrong. Somebody scripted it wrong. His original name, God's original name, wasn't El. It was El, E-I-L. Okay, this is in the original Aramaic, Tav Esher scriptures. It's El. Okay. So somebody scripted it wrong. Okay, so we're going to go back. Okay, the black minister was actually finished, so we won't go back there. So he's incorrect. Okay, because here is Africa, here is Saudi Arabia, here is Iraq and Syria, where Abraham came from. Iraq, ancient Iraq. Right there's Kuwait right there. So it's not quite in the Saudi Arabia area, but it's modern days. It probably is occupied by Arabs. There's Qatar, Oman, Yemen, etc. There's Egypt. See? It's in between Egypt and Iraq, Syria and Iran. Okay. So no, his statements are actually incorrect. So he's leading down a false path. Be wary of this black Jesus, who has a big ego, claiming he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He's the only one that knows the scriptures. No one else knows anything. And black people are the chosen of God. They're the image of God, right? They're made in the image of God. No light brown skin brothers, etc., etc. Only black people. And then he goes on about Jesus was black, and it's also in Daniel. Okay, but we cleared that up. It's not saying that he's black. Okay. So be very, very careful of this guy, Black Jesus. Okay, he's a bad Jesus. Yeah. He's teaching you all false doctrines, false statements. He's making false statements, etc., etc. So we are the ministry of the real truth, which just brought you that truth about this Black Jesus guy. We did have a talk with him through a Sarnetta TV chat option over here. He says, "Oh, you should debate me and all this sort of stuff." And I was like, "Well, we would, but we got to try and set it up so we can actually." It's probably a paying thing. We don't really know how to do this or that sort of stuff, but we probably could, and take his belt off him. His Sarnetta belt that they've awarded him, that nobody's taken off him, all this sort of stuff, with the original ancient Tav Esher scriptures in the Aramaic New Testament, translated in English by a Aramaic speaking translator, native born in Syria, or Mesopotamia, Syria, that translated into the nearest English equivalent. Okay, so we hope that you enjoyed this video. That's opened your eyes to, hey, this Black Jesus guy, he's a bad Jesus. Don't listen to that guy, right? He's putting you all wrong. Subscribe to our channel. You give us a like. Add your comments below, and you go share this with all your Hebrew Israelites, Pan-African people, those who seem to think that Jesus was black, that they are made in the image of God, they're special, no one else is made in the image of God, and all this sort of stuff. They're twisting the scriptures to push their particular brand of religion, their cult, their small group, their movement. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe to us, give us a like, add your comments below, and then go share this with all your family and friends and neighbours and strangers.